Well, hello, my darlings. Welcome to this fabulous theater. I'm thrilled to be here this evening, but darlings, I am mortified. My dear friend Dave Trudell, maybe some of you know him. You probably do if you've been on Grindr. But anyway, he's not here. He's supposed to meet me here, but I heard he was at the library about 13 feet away, so why the hell is he not on time? What in the heck was he doing at the library? He's already read Valley of the Dolls about 67 times. Oh, a text. Oh, boy. Sam, I'm on my way. As usual, I instigated a bit of havoc.
Darlings, I'm here. I've arrived straight from the library.
Oh, there ain't nothing straight about you, doll face.
Oh, don't get all butch on me, Miss Queer Spirit. I was reading to the children.
Oh, yes. The children, yes, they love a good story. We all love a good story, don't we?
Me too.
Mwah! Mwah!
So good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. Thank God you're here. You look like
Oh, a fabulous mess? Oh, of course I do. But as usual, you look divine. You never age.
Oh, well, thank you, darling. Well, I am a puppet, bitch. Which puppet? A spirit puppet. Okay, darling, so what did you bring to read to us today?
Oh, so I will be reading from A People's History of the World According to QueerWise.
Ooh, sounds yummy.
Once upon a time, there was an elder who perceived a lack of writers of a certain age in the world of LGBTQIA plus people. So he thought, how about a writing group dedicated to queers who are 50 and up? So Mr. Michael enlisted a gaggle of his buds who began to meet weekly. The group's members formed a magical bond. The artists found a home at Skylight Theater and named themselves QueerWise. Over the past 10 years, QueerWise has presented more than 30 performances all over LA. And here we are at the comfy, cozy West Hollywood City Council chambers. Oh, by the way, if any of you are interested in being part of this force of artistry, see me after the show. Thank you. QueerWise, by the way, now welcomes queers of all ages. Because you certainly don't think I'm 50, do you? Do you? So anyway, may this vital group enlivening the landscape of Los Angeles and beyond live queerly ever after. And now, I would like for you to meet the QueerWise who comprise tonight's cast. First, the very distinguished Gordon Blitz.
The sprightly Marie Cartier.
The lovely Lucia Chappelle.
The scintillating Tony Garcia Orozco.
My friend, a former Broadway baby, Jim Pentecost.
And our in-house spiritual force, Robin Goodall. Alrighty, Dave. Why don't you go get yourself ready for the show? Come on. Woo! And now, the world premiere of Queer Today, Bring On Tomorrow. First, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Samantha. Sam's my friend, and I've been around for decades. Centuries, actually. I've seen it all. I've done it all. How is that possible, you might ask? Well, I'm no typical witch. I've had many partners that bring me to life, if you know what I mean. I've been around before Waylon Flowers had his hand up, madam. There's just a twinkle in Sherry Lewis's eye. I've seen the fights for human rights, for women's rights, for queer rights. I've seen the witch burnings of Salem. I've seen the fight to end slavery. And then how about McCarthyism, the Red Scare, the Lavender Menace? We were there. Queers were there, fighting a good fight. Harry Hayes started the Vanishing Society, the first national gay rights organization right here in Los Angeles in 1950. The Daughters of Believers became the first lesbian rights organization in the USA in 1955 in San Francisco. Can I hear a woo-hoo? But now, what's happening across the country? Rolling back laws that we fought and died for? Unacceptable! My beloveds, we have questions. You may be poised on the edge of fear or hope as you stand for what you believe in. Could be the edge of a lever about to catapult you into a brilliant future. Could be the edge of a cliff. Do you turn back or do you jump? How are you today? Tell me, Marie, do you feel safe in the United States right now?
Sam, do I feel safe in America? That's what you want to know, right?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. It's such a good question, but excuse me, it's a little ridiculous. 417 anti-LGBTQ+ bills have been introduced in state legislatures across the United States since the start of this year. I could go on, but you get the idea. I guess I feel safe in California, in my own home, in my own bed. But as a woman, you rarely feel totally safe. Most every woman I know, me included, is a rape survivor. It's not unusual. It's common. It's feeling safe that's unusual. Feeling loved isn't uncommon, but safe, that's a horse of a different color, as they say in Oz. And even Dorothy wasn't safe there. Although, I continually wonder why she ever returned to Kansas. Kansas is not as bad as one might think in the middle of the country, in the middle of the US of A. You know, I feel safe when people vote. And every vote counts. And that's what changed in Kansas with the abortion bill recently. Women can still get abortions in Kansas, Dorothy. Woohoo! If you ever need one, at least for now.
Living in a bubble gives a false sense of safety, but the bubble is bursting. COVID still frightens me. Each time I don't wear a mask, I feel guilty. Am I killing myself when I drink tap water? Does every chemical I consume shorten my life? If I cook farm-raised salmon instead of wild fish, will I get cancer? I try to remember, I'm 71. I've lived an honorable life. Why should I worry about what might rattle my body? It's time for Blitz to take risks. I started wearing short sleeves and shorts, no longer fretting about skin cancer. Well, I do slather on Trader Joe's sunblock. And when I see armed guards at my synagogue, and I could only enter after going through the kind of security we have at air travel, I pause. I fall into the pattern of going on Zoom for Shabbat services. my form of bubble wrap.
America has never been a safe place, has it? At least not since people came here who decided to call it America.
All right.
Is it even worth it to try to recount the massacres, the hatred, the enslavement, the lynchings? What would a safe America feel like? If I projected myself into a tall, white, cis male, straight, young body, would I then know what feeling safe felt like? Apparently not. Because those seem to be the people who are most paranoid, the most afraid of losing what they consider to be their safety. Would I fear being castrated by marauding black Latinx lesbians if I were one of them white dudes? Are countries safe? Is there such a thing as a protected, secure area? Is that what this question means? I think of being kept in a zoo, guarded, fenced, fed. I guess I really don't know what feeling safe in a good way would be.
I have a question of my own. For those who would disapprove of me sitting during the national anthem, why should I stand and support a country that still considers me and others second-class citizens, where classrooms are forbidden to teach about gender identity, where slavery can't be taught in classrooms because it might offend white people, where I can be refused service in some states for being who I am. So my question to you is this: I pay taxes, I work in this country, why should I deserve any less than you? I feel safe here in LA, but I fear for my queer brothers and sisters in more conservative areas of America the Beautiful.
Who knew that you could get murdered for dancing? It's a long summer night. A car pulls into a gas station on Coney Island Avenue in Brooklyn. The radio is playing a Beyonce song, and a young black man, O'Shea Sibley, jumps out and starts dancing. Young white men approach him, offended by O'Shea's dancing, offended by his gayness, perhaps maybe offended by his black skin. Words are spoken, epithets fly, a knife is pulled, and O'Shea is stabbed and dies. This is 2023, not 1963, and the unexpected is becoming the expected. The danger out there is danger out there. Some blame Trump for breaking the norms, giving permission to people to say in public what have been spoken in the confines of their homes. Out in the open now, faggot, queer boy, sissy, faggot, queer boy, sissy. Everything is on the table now. Skin color, gender identity, your country of origin. This nasty, vitriolic hate speech, it didn't start with Trump. The Republican right since Newt Gingrich and before has deployed racist, homophobic dog whistles to turn the white working class against people even more oppressed. Trump was just the catalyst, lighting the match to unleash this white supremacy. We believed and hoped that Obama's election was a cause for a celebration, that we'd overcome centuries of racial prejudice. Progress was being made. We're supposed to be safer now, right? We didn't anticipate how the right wing could wield such white rage over a brilliant black man in the White House and over the country's demographic change. Do I feel safe now? No. The level of anger in the public square makes it dangerous to confront anyone. I mean, I'm glad I live in California rather than stand your ground Florida or transphobic Tennessee. However, politicians and Fox moderators are saying the most outrageous things, sending the message, hey, it's okay for you to do it too. Lori Carlton, a straight business owner actually, was shot to death last month in front of her own store because she flew a rainbow flag here in the Golden State of California.
Am I safe in America? Who's America? In the America where the seditionist traitors tried to overturn the election and the Constitution of this nation when they stormed the Capitol in D.C. on January 6th? Or in the red states where the books that talk about people like me are banned in schools and libraries? Why would we feel safe at book burnings by homegrown fascists? Why would we feel safe in public places where private hate is spewed and social media regurgitates and justifies more violence and ignorance and more hate? As a woman of color from a working class background and a former member of the U.S. Armed Forces, a proud Chicana, lesbian, and professor emeritus, like my sister the chameleon in the Southwest desert, I fool others with my camouflage to stay safe. So they lower their guard. I only mention my military service because I was an officer candidate. Officer scores in the military are the equivalent to the high SATs. Military camouflage, baby. And I don't mention my PhD unless another's ignorance provokes my ire, and I spell out my name. Lips dripping with southern gentility. My first name is Dr. Uppercase D, that's the big D. And lowercase r, that's the little r. Am I going too fast for you, honey? Okay. So, yeah, academic camouflage. And as a singer, oh, I know all the standards that bigots and homophobes want to hear, like sabor a mí. But I'm not singing for them, as they mistakenly assume. I'm singing for their women. Musical camouflage, baby. And as citizens of this nation and this world, we should not have to camouflage. And I don't with my peeps, my queer tribe, my Lesbianas Unidas Hermandad, because I am la tía de los pollitos. The jotitos and jotitas everywhere, I am their play auntie who will always love them, cherish them, and respect them. No need for camouflage there. I'm a chameleon, baby. La tía lesbiana de la tierra. Whatever I bet. And that is that getting us.
Sam, where have you felt safe? And when?
Where have I felt safe? I know. Paris, 1929. Drinking absinthe with Natalie Barney and her coterie at the Mon Oncle lesbian bar. Oh, yes, we were children. 1929. In France. Cruising salons with Josephine Baker, a brilliant black queer artist, and Gertrude Stein, a groundbreaking literary queer Jew. And we felt safe. Didn't have a care in the world.
Wow, you're scaring me, Mommy.
Oh, good. Now, mes petites, where today do you feel the safest?
glitter, dancing and twirling, popping back and forth between the genders and beyond. Prince, David Bowie, Chic possess our bodies, writhing in unison. We blend seamlessly like a giant, queer amoeba. No borders, no gender. A woman in a tuxedo grinds up against me as a boy in a bustier bumps his booty against my leg. Expose is singing in the background. You've taken me to the point of no return. My sweat smells like cologne and perfume, only I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing theirs. My brothers and sisters' sweat, which has slathered my body like a soothing oil. We are in a cocoon of queerness. I walk to the bar for a vodka and soda, and in the mirror, I see my reflection, lipstick smeared across my cheek. And above the bar, messages of solidarity. We are partying like it's 1999, only it's not. It's 2016, and Donald Trump has just won the election. But not in here, not in Akbar. We aren't ruled by him. Our king is Prince, our queen is Donna Summer. We feel love, not hate. Inside this place, we are celebrating the end of a brutal year and the beginning of another that doesn't really promise us solace or equality. And tonight, our happiness, our joy, feels like a revolution. We are going to party. A guy walks by me dressed like Carrie Fisher from Star Wars. He saunters by. The galaxy outside of Akbar truly feels like a galaxy far, far away.
Los Angeles, 1991. Born by the crowd, not a mob. An ensemble of human beings, like a murmuration of starlings, each unique and each a part of the swirling, purposeful crowd. We are taking LA County streets, as we have for weeks, protesting Governor Pete Wilson's veto of AB 101, an absurdly modest bill by today's standards that offered some protection in employment and housing to lesbians and gays. In those days, before cell phones, paper flyers circulated. Tonight, we will retake Silver Lake, still queer Latinx territory then. Tomorrow night, we will venture into the San Fernando Valley. The next night, we will take LAX, we will take a runway, true. The group had a kind of mass spiritual genius. And we had bullhorns, we had experienced activists, but there were no real leaders. The most moderate could not slow us down, and those inclined to violence could not get anybody's attention. Gently, our arms bumped, the perfume of our sweat mingled, we met one another's eyes. One night in Hollywood, we arrived at the Hollywood Bowl just as a Sting concert was letting out, and slowly we swirled through the flow of exiting cars and back to the boulevard and to the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel where, yes, Jerry Falwell happened to be staying. We rattled the lobby with our chant. We're here, we're queer, we're not going shopping. We are queer and we are loud and we injured no one. Our chants resonate like prayers. They vibrate on air.
We're
here,
we're queer, we're not going shopping. We're here, we're queer, we're not going shopping.
On the land, in the woods. We arrive at the site in Yosemite, find a spot, and unpack our outside normal world from our psyches as we unpack the gear from our cars. The cars are sent away to some pasture to amuse themselves for a few days, and we become a tribe. or rather a gathering of tribes, of women, a city of dykes, scantily clothed. This is the West Coast Women's Music and Comedy Festival. This is another, more real world, and we suddenly become natives of it. One night, a friend and I were walking back to our tents when we heard a noise on the trail ahead. A figure stepped out of the shadows, staring down at us. My friend yells, "Go!" And we break into a run in the other direction. Then we started to hear them. Women making sounds. First from our left, then from our right, then from behind us. We stopped and joined them. The women made sounds when they spotted the figure. We could hear it turn until women spotted it from the other side. The sounds in the dark encircled the figure, closing in for the kill. He couldn't get away. The women chased him, off the land to the road where some rangers rescued him, and led the intruder away. This was our space. We had the power to defend it. We were safe. When we loaded up our cars and our city selves and went back to where we had come from, we could tell the difference.
I step outside on my front porch, temporarily blinded by the setting sun. My 12-year-old German Shepherd huffs, dejected that I didn't pet her when she put her head in my lap. She knows that when I have a pen in my hand, I have no hugs for her. She turns her back to me as she sits on the top stair, my French porch, knowing I will compensate her when I'm through writing. The ravens on my street, who have learned to mimic the mockingbirds, have started some kind of call and response. My left ear hears the tweets of smaller birds or their imitators. My right ear hears a screeching, elongated caws. Oh, a shadow passed overhead. The hawk, the alpha predator in the neighborhood. And then the sounds disappear. I think I can hear the low hum of cars from the traffic on the Hollywood freeway. But then that noise is disturbed by the cursing of the Cuban neighbor dying of cancer next door, and his wife also dying of cancer next door. They've only been dying for 5 years, but then you've been yelling at each other with unmeasured hate for all the years that I've lived next door. But I hear the faint little chirping of little birds who nest in the tree in my front yard. I don't know what kind of tree it is. Nobody knows. Everybody says, chop it down, it's not good. But I'm wrong. The red-breasted robin and my bluebird of happiness sound like such a colonizer. The bird doesn't argue with me. I mean, it's not worth the bird's time or energy. The birds, like queers, were never really colonized. We know who we are. We know our place in the shaping of this world. We are everywhere. We have always been and always will be. A few of us, like the ravens, who mock the mockingbirds, use our wit and our humor to deflect, to laugh, when others want to make us cry. The ravens who mock the mockingbirds are the queers of the aviary world. We are not and have never accepted the delusions of colonization.
So, you have all been political activists in your way, stood up for yourselves, worked for a better world. I too have marched in my time. I was at the White House with the suffragettes. I was with Bella and Jane and Betty and Gloria, marching for a better future. Yeah, that was me. So, tell me, QueerWisers, what was your first truly political act?
The very first political thing I did?
Yeah?
Besides choosing to survive in an abusive home, I mean, really and seriously making the choice that I was going to grow up and life would be different. That's the very first political thing I did. I told myself as a kid, look, all you have to do is grow up. And so I did. I did. And I became an activist. So I could join those people as my tribe, me, my chosen family. Because they wanted to change the world. And the world, as I knew it, had sucked. And who in their right mind wouldn't want to change that? My first real cause was protesting nuclear power. And I ended up on the front page of the Boston Globe, asleep, under a handwritten sign that said, "End nuclear war now." And the caption read, "Marie Cartier from New Hampshire rests from her actions against nuclear power during the protest this weekend." When I came home, my mother met me at the patio door, holding the newspaper, banner headline out. And she didn't say it, but I could tell she was proud of me. Because who didn't want the world to be different? We surely did. In our house, we surely did. And you know, I was doing my 15-year-old best.
It's a warm summer day in New York, the last Sunday in June, 1977. Bob, my best friend since the 4th grade, and Carl, his boyfriend of 2 years. Oh, by the way, they'll soon celebrate 50 years together. So Bob and Carl, along with Dave, my boyfriend, gathered in Greenwich Village to march in our first gay rights parade. So, I met Dave in Kalamazoo in 1974 when we worked at a highly regarded community theater. Me as the directing intern, him as the design intern. At the theater, and this will come as no surprise to many of you, we met many homosexuals. Mostly in the closet. But no gay pride marches in Kalamazoo. No gay bars back then. So, in 1976, Dave and I moved to Manhattan to seek fame and fortune on Broadway. And we found a veritable feast of gay venues to drink, eat, and have sex. Dave and I were out and proud, at least to our friends. Our families probably suspected, but we hadn't said it out loud to them yet. But there we are, marching in the street. I was hypnotized by the throngs of sexy boys and hot leathermen on their motorcycles. Like Linda Blair in The Exorcist, my head is swiveling around, drinking in one hunky guy after another, all of us jammed together as we march up 5th Avenue. Out of the closet and into the streets! Out of the closet and into the streets!
Out of the closet and into the streets!
Anita Bryant, remember her? A singer and Florida Orange Juice spokesperson, is our public enemy #1. She had recently run a successful campaign to repeal the ordinance prohibiting discrimination against homosexuals in Miami-Dade County, Florida. People were chanting, "Hey, Anita, we'd rather fight than switch." we were also demanding that the New York City Council pass a gay rights bill. The posters screamed, "Human rights for all." Passing St. Patrick's Cathedral, we loudly booed to protest the Catholic Church's position that homosexuality was wrong, and we would all burn in the fires of hell. Well, how bad could hell be with all surrounded by all these hunky boys? I mean, talk about on fire. Crowds of gay people are streaming into Central Park for an afternoon of spectacles, music, and frolicking. I especially like the frolicking. As the day drew to a close, the four of us wandered out of the park to Amsterdam Avenue to eat at our favorite Italian restaurant, Bazzini's, drinking lots of wine and basking in the glow of a wonderful day.
Joining the Harvey Milk Club in the 1980s was my first foray into politics. The first rally took place in Sacramento, where we marched with signs protesting the government's treatment of the LGBTQ community and the AIDS response. My lover, Scott, had been a political animal, and this satisfied that appetite. I went along because I loved him, and maybe I thought it prevent him from having sex outside of our relationship. The club brought me further support as Scott descended physically and then died from the AIDS virus. Who could imagine that queer love and friendship could be acts of subversive resistance?
Okay, so that was your first political act. How about the most recent political thing you did, Gordon?
Well, the most recent time I did something political was in 1998 with my future husband, Neil. We were marching in the LGBTQ Pride Parade with Beth Hayim Hadashim, our LGBTQ synagogue. While we strutted down the boulevard, he held my hand, making physical contact for the first time. Or was my last political act when we got married in 2008 in defiance of Prop 8? Or was it the letter I received from a minister professor who narrated my novel, Fathers and Other Strangers, where he stated how the book had changed his attitude towards the LGBTQ world? Or is it political every time I read X-rated chapters from my memoir in a class filled with old Jewish women that have never met anyone LGBTQ in their life? Or is being political repeating to myself and the world, I love being gay. I have no regrets. I wouldn't change my life. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Months ago, I spent the last half of Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath, with my comrades from CLU, Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. We gathered outside of a hotel where, during the previous week, security forces had pushed union picketers to the ground. We gathered for a holy ritual, bookended by the Reverend Smart of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, who called us to holy witness, and a Methodist preacher who offered a closing benediction in which he taught that nonviolence is the approach of the brave. In between, I offered a Shabbat blessing, and we heard testimony from hotel workers and writers and other union strikers, as well as the mayor of Santa Monica, where the hotel is. Everyone addressed the crowd as brothers and sisters. It was my turn. I added brothers, sisters, and beloved others. In case they were wondering what a rabbi was doing out of synagogue on Shabbat, and some of you may be wondering that as well. What am I doing here today? Preaching, of course. Preaching and teaching. What else would I be doing? I shared that the Hebrew word for labor strike, shvita, comes from the same root as Shabbat, rest. Shabbat. Shabbat is the first labor victory. You know, it stands for the principle that every worker, every human being deserves the dignity of rest, as well as a living wage for that vital work that they do. I called in my ancestors of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union and offered a blessing to this crowd of hotel housekeepers and movie writers and school teachers and teamsters of every size and shade, every generation and gender, and their campaign of fierce love. ¿Se puede? Sí se puede! Sí se puede!
Last year, I went to the Bands Off Our Bodies rally in downtown LA to march for abortion rights. My 33rd year as an Angelino and a confident and proud queer. My queerness is my humanness. My rights are inextricably linked to women's rights and to others. I wouldn't trade those years of feeling othered or marginalized or unconventional. And as we march, I once again marvel at the diversity of the Angelinos on the streets. Young, old, queer, black, brown, Asian, DACA kids, immigrants. We are a family.
Oh, the last thing I did like that? That's what you want to know, Sam?
Yeah.
Well, that was a week ago. I was the MC for the Long Beach, California Dyke March. And then I grabbed the microphone and led the march into the streets after being told to stay on the sidewalks. And I yelled into the microphone, D-Y-K-E, what's that spell? Dyke, Dyke, Dyke. Let them hear you, Long Beach. And I remember the cool night air, the California beach coastal city swelling with Dyke, 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 Dyke. Thrown into the star-filled, somewhere in California there are stars, trust me, sky. Dyke. I remember thinking as I held the megaphone high, I love doing this. Whose streets?
Our streets!
Oh yeah, I love being part of changing this world. You know, I love so much, but it still needs so much changing. Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Hey, Long Beach, there's a moon out there somewhere. Join me. Let them hear you.
This is exhilarating. The power of human possibility, changing the course of history. Do you feel the world start to shift? Do you feel the future breathing down your neck? Now, my darling. one of your successors, your offspring, so to speak, people from the future, generations from now. Each of them wrote from their own time and place. Here you go. Dave's handing out the letters for each of you to read.
All right. Who wants to read their letter from the future first?
I will.
Dear Mama Lucia, I'm sure you tried. I used to hear a lot about you from my teachers who knew you when I was little. And I read some of your writings that still exist after I grew up. The teachers who knew you said you were no saint. And they'd laugh if they heard the younger teachers who made you sound like one. When I was little and we still had school hiding in the basement, they taught us songs about you and the things you all used to do when you were working to win your freedom. They taught us songs so that we would remember, even though music was still against the law then. What I remember most about school were those songs and always having to hurry to get done with our lessons without getting caught. Whenever I felt that fear of getting caught, I'd remember to sing to myself one of those songs. By the time I was a teenager and joined the resistance, I understood you better. In your day, people who wanted to work for the good things did the best you could. You just didn't understand how short your time above ground would be. Lots of people today blame you all for being so short-sighted, but that's not very helpful. Now that we've had another couple of generations to get enough space between ourselves and disaster, we can use some of your goals and your strategies. If I could tell you one thing, it's that what you did mattered, even though it took a century for it to pan out. Humanity almost went down the tubes, but we held out after all.
Okay, I'll go. From the year 2123. Okay, I found your writing in the June Mazer Lesbian Archives. And you wrote about, what? Lesbian bars? Queer culture? Blah diddy fucking blah. I'm supposed to write to you because we don't have any electricity anymore, of course, and tell you what I'm grateful for. I mean, grateful? So anyway, what I want to ask you is, did you actually ever understand what greenhouse gas meant? Or even the plastic garbage dump? I don't know, because it seems like everyone used gas. Gas. And still use oil. Oil. And even coal. Coal. At what point did you think you might actually make friends with the ocean and convert seawater? Yeah, right, not soon enough. Oh, I know, I'm supposed to be LGBTQing you. That's what you were into, right? Fighting back because people shunned you or whatever because of who you loved? Wow, talk about luxury oppression. All we worry about is not frying our asses off when we exit the bubble. I mean, thank you, I guess, for opening up whatever, gender expression, gay marriage. Like, we live in survival collectives. I'm lucky they tell me I come from strong stock and your papers were part of my lineage. You know, but it seems like you got to do a lot of cool shit. For instance, what's a dyke march? That sounds super cool. So it's hot here, and if it's not hot, it's cold. I mean, there are so many pictures of you walking on the beach at night, during the day, with a full moon visible, and you howled at it. Okay, so I'm jealous. Like, so why didn't you think we might want to do that too? I mean, the future. I mean, come on, plastic. All those red cups and Pride Parade photos. What the fuck ever? So, okay, thank you for being my ancestor. But you all have the foresight of rocks.
Wow, your futures are so definite. Well, here's my letter. August 21st, 2123. Dear Gordon, I've been living on the moon all my life, thanks to the intolerable heat on Earth. I don't blame you for climate change, but I need to get a few things off my chest. I just finished reading your memoirs called Sissyhood. I was able to identify with the struggle you had with your self-image, feeling shame by the way you walked and talked. On the moon, there was no rich or poor, conservative or liberal, white or black, male or female. Everyone on the moon is LGBTQ. But since we are expected to follow the rules of being a kind and gentle and loving community, if anyone is an outlier, they are castigated. I was a gay, petty thief during my teenage years, constantly being made fun of, and I had no friends. Reading your writing, I learned how to overcome a difficult childhood, but I was frustrated the way you never stuck up for yourself until later in life, and you didn't do enough politically to prevent the collapse of humanity on Earth. And there was no mention of giving charity. You would have made a great father, yet you never contemplated having a child. Still, I wish I had gotten to know you. Your sense of humor and the raw, honest way you wrote. You know, you would think that because of the LGBTQ population on the moon, that people could express their feelings openly, yet that hasn't happened. Sometimes it doesn't feel safe because I never know what someone is really thinking. It's funny how just because you're LGBTQ doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person. I guess we keep evolving.
Okay. Guess I better go. Dear queer ancestor, first of all, thank you for showing up as much as you did, for as long as you did. If not for you, I don't know what my life would be like. So I suppose I'm what you would call a teenager. I'm officially female, having ratified my gender when I took on young adulthood, choosing to be known as a bat mitzvah, not ben or lebanais. My learning concentrations these days are Talmud and marine mammal linguistics. Learning to think like the ancient rabbis who connected our Torah to their dreams and relationships and dealing with the colonizing Roman Empire really helps me to connect with the humpback whale elders. Of course, they naturally think in 4 dimensions, but it's different with them since our 4th dimension is time, and theirs is best described as buoyancy, but of course, that's an approximation. Sorry, I do that. I'm 15 years old, by the way. I gather most 15-year-old people in your time didn't do this kind of thing. All of us have learning concentrations, and of course that includes our practicum, but everybody does the grunt work too. I work in hydroponics and land-based farms, growing our food, and I have an intimate acquaintance with the compost and animal shit that fertilizes our crops. I have a pretty hard work day, usually about 6 whole hours. And then a lot more study time. Okay, so I have one girlfriend and one NB friend, and there's a masked cyborg who I've been talking to. I'm kind of on the monogamous side for my age cohort. But I definitely want to experience a lot more before I settle down. Oh, I haven't described myself really yet. So, female, 15 years old, short for my age, pretty well muscled if I say so. Skin the color of redwood bark, and a lot of wiry black hair that my mom say I am too proud of and should maybe cut shorter for a while to teach me not to rely on my looks so much to make friends. I don't. I rely on my extraordinary erudition. Yes, I have a problem with en avant, with humility. My rabbi has me working on that with my daily meditation and my journal writing. Well, back to you. Thank you for looking at the monstrous injustices of your world and seeing what had to be done. I know it wasn't easy, and a lot of your comrades didn't make it. I know you sacrificed time and security and dreams. I know it wasn't your side that started shooting first. Of course, you didn't really have much of a choice, because if you didn't get rid of the racist, capitalist, heteropatriarchy, the planet would have fried. But you did it. Victory by loss, by victory, and you kept telling your stories, and you kept being kind to each other, and here I am, and here we all are. Yours in abundance, your spiritual daughter, Zipporah.
Saludos, Dr. Tony, year of Guadalupe 23. We took back Aslan like you prophesied in your manifesto, but it was a federal EPA site. So we give it back to the descendants of the founding fathers. But we share the heart of Aslan with Grandmother Spider and Mama Pacha, and we always sing your songs at our ceremonies, especially Chicana blues. So the borders were eventually inverted again after the Second American Revolution. So since they lost the war again, traders must carry their residency of shame on their borrowed time ID on their persons. And any acts of violence, and they're out of here forever. Reparations for the descendants of those enslaved went okay at first, but it's still not nearly enough. The 1% of your time defaulted on the payments, but you know how that goes. So Latinx people rebuilt the eco-condominiums in the desert, so it's never too hot or too cold or too toxic. And as long as you do your community service sweat equity, that covers most of the cost. We've had a couple of cabrones who tried to hack into the systems, but we took care of those pendejos. Yeah. Chihuahua with them. Sent them back to the fatherlands with no return ticket. And food. Nachos are still a problem, but we outlaw chimichangas. Even the vegan ones. And everybody here is at least trilingual. We have Chicanish, Latinish, and Americanish. So, when the four regions were redistricted to the descendants who wanted to go back to their reconstructed ancestral lands. And of what you call the continental U.S., those formerly called Asian or Asia-Pacific Islanders are in the Northwest. Those formerly called blacks or African Americans are in Blaxicana or Africana America. And Latinx are in Aztlán. And the Indian Tories, yes, are still under the oversight of the Supreme Court ruled in your time. So there are, there are outlaw lands. Any of the EPA Superfund sites, the NRA have their headquarters there, as do the Klan, the Magads, the Not-So-Christian Pseudo Nationals, etc. But hey, queer, Chicanita, you did good work. So you have not loved in vain. We don't ask permission anymore, so we don't have to apologize. Respect. No one makes it on their own unless they want to do it the hard way. Let's see, we love ourselves, forgive ourselves, cherish ourselves. The spiritual entity formerly known as God doesn't make mistakes anymore, and avocado wins are still fun. Queers, as you prophesied, were never a mistake, but you knew that already. So the Lord's, in closing, the Lord's Prayer was revamped, but the people of your times aren't ready for that yet. I'm zealous.
Dear great Uncle Jim, today is August 21st, 2123. I'm writing this letter. Yes, we still write. Because 100 years ago, on August 21st, 2023, you celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Broadway opening of La Cage aux Folles. Even 100 years later, the Jerry Herman Harvey Farsi musical is fondly remembered. First time a Broadway show celebrated a gay couple on stage. These days, sadly, Broadway and most of Manhattan are now underwater. I would love to have a time machine to go back to that opening night at the Palace. You, dear great Uncle Jim, experienced the explosion of rights for queers, or as your history books quaintly call it, gay liberation. You went from the ecstatic highs of being gay in the 1970s to the depths of a deadly plague in the 80s, to the ecstatic highs again of gay marriage, to the stripping away right by right in the 2020s. By the time I was born, a millennium baby, a queer was back in the closet, or the cave, since we have been destroying the world, slowly at first. But by the time I'm born, the devastation is vast. There are simply places that have disappeared due to the rising seas. Forests burned to the ground by raging wildfires. Cities so hot that air conditioning is useless. Millions and millions of people dying, and many more millions homeless and starving. Queer rights are the least of our problems now. It is truly the survival of the fittest. The best of times? Definitely not now. I wish I could talk to you and hear your stories of the good old days, even if some of those days were not so good. With much love, your queer, great trans niece, Zaza.
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm a member of QueerWise. Dear queer ancestor, great Auntie Christine, I'm in class learning about our ancient history, and my assignment is to research what life was like on Earth 100 years ago. I'm surprised I even found your info. Your technology is so quaint, but fortunately we found old processing machines to decipher it. Things have changed a lot since your time. Being queer isn't really an issue anymore. The rising waters on Earth eventually made it difficult for everyone to live. There was very little space to grow food, to just live together, but Mother Nature found a way. A long time after you were gone, well, people started to die off. There was something in the growing bodies of water. Somehow it released more oxygen into the air, and only those who adapted could stay alive. Those who couldn't adapt, well, they died. It all came down to one gene, the very same gene that determined sexuality. If you had it, you were lucky. You lived. So first the Republicans died off. Those of us who are left have enough space, though. But we had to retreat to the highlands. We had to find dry caves to camp in, to create new homes. But we're happy here. Oh, and you might wonder, how do we procreate? Well, we've developed parthenogenesis.
Yeah.
We don't really need the opposite sex. We go through cycles of creating offspring with all the joy and ritual that comes with new life. But we still enjoy sex. We have little resources, but don't need much since our population is about 12 billion people less than it was. I suppose something had to give. Mother Earth made a choice. I miss my elders, but it's been many years since they slipped into the beyond. We live in peace, in small tribes, for now. The waters seem to stay as they are, though sometimes Mother Earth likes to shake us up with a hurricane and an earthquake on the same day. Who would have thought that could happen? So, to end this letter, dear ancestor, I'm glad you lived. You fought the good fight for so many decades. We thank you for that. We will carry on the knowledge. We will not poison our beloved planet and cause another mass execution. Mother Earth will not allow it. We will take care of her. We will do what you couldn't, what you didn't. We're happy now. We're safe now. For now, your great-great-great niece, Eve.
Yours are also different. Okay, so here's mine. Dear Dave, I am graduating from Hudson High School this year, class of 21-23. I believe you graduated from this school a long time ago, like 1984. You'd probably be happy to know that some of the music from your era is still popular today. People still dance to Madonna, R.I.P. Believe it or not. I'm too young to go to gay bars. I'm only 18, but occasionally I sneak in because my cousin is a bouncer at this new place called the Cool Cucumber. I'm writing to you, R.I.P., because I came across your name in the gym restroom. I was in the stall, fourth one from the showers, and on the door it says, "For a good time, call Dave Trudell." I looked you up on the internet, and that's when I realized how old that graffiti is. It looks like someone engraved it into the door, perhaps with a key. But, you know, Hudson High, like many other public schools, they had their budget slashed repeatedly over the years, so replacing that door just won't happen. Well, anyway, when I looked you up, I came across a script on a remote queer website called Anal Archives. You wrote this solo show about growing up here in Hudson and being secretly queer and then moving to LA and finally coming out. You know, things have changed a lot. I'm already out. In fact, I've been out since I was 5. But just like you, I've been fascinated with California. I feel like I still need to move away to be free. My friends are great and really supportive, but my parents, they've never approved. They're into this new religion called Q2. It's a division of QAnon, which I think started when you were around. And I've seen my parents' eyes glaze over at the dinner table. Being unapologetically myself has been a constant battle at home. I put my head down a lot. I say I'm sorry a lot. I pretend to study the Q2 doctrine, but deep down, I'll never be a disciple. My parents kill me with kindness, the passive-aggressive kind. Wouldn't you be happier going out with Jill? You know, this law really isn't about you, it's about morals. We would never hurt you, so why would you think we'd vote for something that would hurt you? So tomorrow, I'm packing up my car, just like you did. Once I charge it, I plan on leaving at midnight. I'm glad your name is still etched on that restroom wall.
Ooh, wait. All those letters from different timelines. Maybe futures that might be, or maybe alternate worlds. I love looking at how the world might be, though it sounds like it could be terrifying. Or phenomenal.
Well, thank you for that precious gift from any and all futures.
Oh, you're ever so welcome. Anyway, dear queerlings, and everyone, you all have a part to play. What future will you create?
Queers, we're never a mistake. We love ourselves, forgive ourselves, and cherish ourselves.
I love being gay. I have no regrets. I wouldn't change my life.
Who knew that dancing and you could be murdered?
This is our space. We have the power to defend it. We are safe.
Young, old, queer, black, brown, Asian, DACA kids, immigrants, we are a family.
Our chants resonate like prayers. They vibrate on air.
This is what democracy looks like. Over 50 years of, we shall not be moved, and my body, my choice, and push or pull or get out of the way.
Are we happy now? Are we safe now?
Safe.
To our
To our
past,
past,
Our present,
Our
future.
we're
We are here.
we're queer,
And we'd like to say
thanks for coming.